doesn't have to be a wedge between E and E, but they want to put a verses in it, so that's what it's going to be. So I'm going to start off with some freestyle poetry because it's Friday and that's how we can flow. We can flow with the ebb and flows. If you know, here we go. It's the episode, it's the next show. Oh, I'm the MC of Up MC. They can't capture me in reality. I'm coming with the wisdom and I'm coming with the knowledge. They just want a TEA. Every time they always want to hate, but the haters can't Mason hat me. They ain't my sons. They really ill. They need to chill. Take a chill pill for real. You know, I'm like Penny Proud. I got the pens, the penny, Pennsylvania and New York. Got my penny loafers in it. Want to take a fork and try to fork me, but they really can't orc. They just want to orc me like the Lord of the Rings. But if you know they can't roll me, you know me. I was trying to be the hottest MC in this reality, misconjuring reality. This is what I do. It's my reality. People want to hate, but I'm deep in the shade, deep in the grass. Don't not hate. Joker, Joker, deuces, ace. You can take my ace and you really want my face. You want my grace and you really want to taste. Freestyle Friday, fanny pack on the waist. Hey, this is what we do. I'm at the historical forum. How about you? In Homewood, yeah, what it do? I know all of you were sent. Turn back and repent. Chilling with the trees and the birds. You know what you heard. It's a good day. It's a Venus day. It's Friday. And what I realized is, in the midst of me wearing black and white, there were Saturn spells going on yesterday. It was June 4th. My mom's name has the word June in it. She was born on the 4th. And the cops were called on me. When I was in the 4th grade, in a teacher's class named Miss Foster, after I haven't seen my dad for 10 years, he picked me up from class, as well as another man picked us up from class. I was a Muslim. The other person that got picked up from class was a Muslim because 9/11 was happening. And what I realized when writing down the Ethiopian year and this year, the Ethiopian year added up to 9. This year added up to 11. So it was a 9/11 spell. And I realized what they're trying to do, because I had the energy of Goddess Basset, is that they're trying to do bone and scar rituals on me. They are actually trying to use my body to do rituals where these people in these sacred societies, these secret societies, are actually trying to go to war with other countries so they can do depopulation and so they can kill people. And it's MK Ultra, M- MK Murder Kill Ultra. They get that information from Indians, and the Germans utilized the information from MK Ultra and used it for mind control, which led to a lot of things that went on with the Nazis. The Nazis used African symbols such as the swastika to brand themselves. And they what people don't realize is um they are like trying to do 9/11 spells. They've been trying to do 9/11 spells on me. Um I was born on 3/17, which, and 17 as of to 8, and that plus 3 is 11. And my name is Elizabeth. So, you know, it's Eve versus everybody. In the word 7, there's Eve, and in the word 11, there's Eve. So they try to do these 7/11 spells on me. This year is the year of 1. I'm a 0 degrees Taurus, and Queen Elizabeth was born as a Taurus with a Capricorn rising like myself. So they try to use me and my name, as well as the people that are listening. They'll try to use people with similar zodiac signs, similar names from the same places to do witchcraft. Um, but really, I'm chilling with some mosquitoes and some bugs. They want to say hi. We have a deer chilling in the hoop house over there. I really don't want to record the bugs because I'm already doing enough just recording me. And in the word record, we have the word wreck. And then we have the word cord. So they're really trying to wreck, or cords, or umbilical cords, or silver cords, or cords that we have linked to other dimensions. And in the word cord, we have co, and then we have RD. So back to what I was talking about skull and bones. They have, the man that I've told you about that I've been with for 15 years. The first car he drove was a Sag, was a Saab, and backwards that is Bass. And I have seen people parked outside of my home with similar cars. As I was exercising and jogging, I've seen them. So people are trying to do witchcraft on us with that. And I'm a vessel for the Most High. So and that's the divine feminine, and my divine masculine is they try to put us in a vehicle. What they're really trying to do is capture our spirit of the Most High, of the champion, of the challenge, of the Christ, of crazy horse energy, of that CR and that RC. That's what they're really trying to do. Now, they're coming from a street called Lane, which my brother is from, okay? And they're going to a street called Mertland. So that truck was just trying to threaten me. That's why it was a red truck. They use trucks because they have tricks. That's what it's about. They have a lot of Halloween trick or treat energy going on because they are treasonous. If you think about these words, you'll realize that they're trifling. And what they're trying to do is, because I'm Trinity, they're trying to distract me and are trying to threaten me when I say ancestral words like crazy horse, because those are certain things that they're trying to they're trying to capture me, like the movie The Indian in the Cupboard. That's a Native American movie. um this land is Native American, and it's very indigenous, and even though a lot of people say English is a bastardized language, it really has a lot of secret codes in it. And even though they say that English, French, and Spanish is a vulgar language, um, it has a lot of codes in it, in this reality that we live in. And what I wanted to say is, the past couple of days since I've been going live, I have said some vulgar things. And what I realized is there are culture vultures who are stealing our culture. There's culture with the C, and there's vulture with the V. And what I realized as an agriculturist, it's important that we're not vulgar, because when we vulgar, what's the word vulgar? We have the word vul in it, and then we have gar. And gar is the garden. You see where I'm at? The garden. So it's important not to be vulgar and everything, because I have to maintain my essence and remain my character. And even though people are trying to take me out of my square, um, and people are trying to change me, I have to remain essence and who the Most High meant for me to be. So that's what I wanted to say. And so, um, moving forward, I wanted to talk about some things. I wanted to talk about Genesis and Revelations. They have Genesis and Revelations because JAR, that's Gar. And then Revelations and Genesis is rag. So we have gar, which is like garden, and then backwards we have rag. And then you could look at Genesis for the color green, because it's green for Genesis, and that's an English word. And then you have the word red for Revelations. And so they use those colors, red and green. And I was speaking of horizontal flags and vertical flags that use red, white, and green, such as the Italian and Mexican flag. But the African American flag uses it as well. Their flag is green, black, and red. Okay, that's on the same time as the Italian and Mexican flag, for the exception that they have black in the middle instead of white. So let's talk about that. Okay, so they have some gar and rag spells. And years ago, when I met when I met um Sister Latava, she came to Pittsburgh and did the Black Women's Agenda. She was talking about how women, when they're on their menstrual, they're supposed to take their rags. That's what they say. Oh, you're on your rag, and put them in the garden to fertilize the earth. So that was something that I thought about. That was interesting. And as we know, We they use red and green for the Moorish flag, for the Moroccan flag, and they also use red and green to celebrate Jesus Christ, to celebrate holidays and everything like that. And also, in between the colors green and red, what are the colors in between? There's red, then there's orange and yellow. What's orange and yellow? That's O Y. And backwards, that's yo. So, okay, so, right? So, if you look at it from the red part, we have red, orange, that's row. Row backwards is R, that's God. And if you're coming from the green part, that's green. And then we have yellow. And green and yellow is the color of grass. And if you think about it, they have orange and yellow in the middle because it has secrets in it. It has Oya, Oshun, Yemaya. They were the primary colors, and there's a lot of witchcraft. And so what I realized is I have these stress balls, and I have this volleyball stress ball, and the colors purple and red aren't in a volleyball. We know that the color red connects with the root chakra, and we know that the color purple connects with the crown chakra. And we know when we put red and purple together, it says rack, and backwards it says par. What I realized about the volleyball, it has red, white, and green in it, like the flags I just talked about that are Mexican and Italian. Okay. And then it has the colors in it: blue, orange, yellow. And I realized blue, orange, yellow is BOY, boy. So what is important is they have these sports that are trying to capture our spirits. And they have the ball, and ball backwards, BAL, is lab. This is an experiment that we're in. It's a laboratory experiment. Um, and they are using these sports to do lab experiments on us. And even people are saying that the Garden of Eden was an experiment by the Anunnaki. And so I have done studies like that and have heard different things. Um, I realized when listening to videos on YouTube that talk about consciousness and what we need to do in the community, I realized a lot of people having videos and hosting videos and actual lectures from leaders like Bobby Hemmett. These people are actually setting him up. I was watching a video today, and they paused the video on a temple. Okay. And then Bobby Hemmett continued to talk, but I didn't see him. So it was paused on there for minutes. But when I rewind the video, it showed me footage that I never seen that was supposed to clip. So there's witchcraft going on, for lack of better words. There is things going on with these documents. I had to rewind the video to see what he was talking about, to see the pictures. And he talked about the goddess Lakshmi, which is the Indian version of the divine feminine. And underneath it, it said Mu. And my name's Muhammad. And he was talking about goddess Aset, goddess Ishtar, and all of these interesting, wonderful goddesses that connect with me in my past and present and future life. And so what I realized is that he was being interrupted by a man who was wearing a Coogee sweater that connects to Australia, which is connecting to the goddess Offset. And then the man came left stage and left stage, and so what that represents is that he was being backstabbed. He was being betrayed. The people who call him out to come to a certain city, and the people who record him, they're trying to record angels at certain angles. And then I see a man with locks who came in from the left, who entered from the left and passed the empty coat rack. So, rack backwards is car, and they have hanger spells. They've been dressing up a lot of people in black too. We usually don't see so-called Nathaniels and Europeans walk and run past. But lately, the other day, I seen a jogger. Last week, I seen a jogger. Now there's a so-called European man walking, wearing black. They they had my siblings wearing Tupac and Biggie shirts that were black. They're just teenagers in high school. And what I realized is when you wear a color, you're wearing it. And black is be black. And they had them wearing people that are dead. And who provoked a lot of violence, people who they don't even listen to that music. So they got a text message from some Masons and was told to put on those clothes, okay, because it was Gemini season and they wanted to do witchcraft. Those artists are Geminis. Those are Geminis. And they also had my sister wear a Prince shirt that's black, who's also a Gemini. So they're doing Mercury spells. That Gemini relates back to the planet Mercury. And in the word Mercury, we have myrrh and we have curry. So red is myrrh and curry is green. So they're trying to do spells. If we think about it, like I said about the colors, we have green, which in French is vert, like the rapper Little Uzi Vert. And I really have to call upon the ancestors like Ogun who wears green when I say that, because you know what they're trying to do is with the color green is make it vertical. That's vertical. And what they're trying to do is with that rapper putting his attaching that to his name and me just giving him permission just by listening to his music and acknowledge him by talking about him and saying his name, it can be um a diversion. And so they're trying to weaponize the color green by even having um it an up and down vertical, and then they use the color red for not portrait and vertical but for horizontal and landscape. So horizontal and landscape is connected to Horus in Hebrew, in Hercules, in Ra, which is red, while we see the horizon with the sun. And so they use these colors. And if you notice, if you look at the sun for a long time with your eyes open or closed, and then start to look in the air where you see all those different colors, Kermit the Frog is green. And Kermit the Frog is connected to Kemet. Kermit the Frog is not evil. My father is fond of Kermit the Frog. He has this big stuffed animal of Kermit the Frog and makes voices with him. So I thought that was funny. And I feel like me and my sister is the princess of the frog. So I think it's really cute when my father does the puppeting with the Kermit the Frog. And we know that that folk tale about the princess and the frog in New Orleans, it's just not a Disney princess movie. These Disney princess movies hold power, such as Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella. They're not just fairy tales, they're real tales. And if you notice about Princess and the Frog, she has to fall in love with someone when he's a frog, and they fall in love with each other. It's a beautiful story. And we were connected to amphibians. And if anybody remembers the show that we watched when we were children, Gilligan's Island had a big yellow frog. So frogs are very sacred to our ancestry and our community. Kermit the Frog isn't evil. And I think that, Jim Henson was the person who created the Muppets. And my grandfather's name is James. And Henson, we know about King Henry. So if you really think about these people's names, you can start to connect with them on a deeper level. He made the Muppet story. A lot of people have made Muppets. We seen on SNL when they were teasing about they were making jokes about Gotham, about Batman, and people know that Pittsburgh, Detroit, New York City, Baltimore, if you line them up, it's a bat shape, and Pittsburgh is the real Gotham. They try to got me. I have Ham in my last name. My last name is Muhammad. So they try to mess with me because they try to connect me to Catwoman, and they try to connect my man to Batman. They try to connect my shadow self to Harley Quinn, and they try to connect my man to the Joker. They're trying to attach us to these cartoons for a reason, and caricatures, as we know. Um, we talked about that word car in previous movies, in previous lives that I talked about, and I talked about how they're trying to use the power of the horse and the horsepower to put us in a vehicle when we as vessels used to be able to travel lightly without these vehicles. So these cars are living entities. That's why they have eyes and lights. That's why they have four wheels, like animals, like horses that have four legs. They actually have spirits with them. So it's important to take care of your vehicle, which is an extension of your body. And another thing, I realized that Kermit the Frog was in love with Piggy. And my parents are born in the year of the pig. So that's very interesting. And so we can connect frogs to our culture. I was watching a documentary when Dr. Layla Africa was speaking, and he had another doctor on there, and she noticed that the frogs in her community were declining. There were less and less frogs. And also, when I went to an event called The Power of Melanin in the neighborhood that I first came home to in Wilkinsburg, the woman, they had a speaker there that was talking about they're poisoning the water, and they did an experiment with the frogs, and they realized with the tap water that a lot of frogs were changing into, they were going from male to female. So there's a lot of things that's interesting about the frogs. Frogs are very important. They have different colors. Our ancestors used poisonous frogs to dart their arrows when they went to battle. Frogs are very important to the ecosystem and to the rainforest. Rainforest is RF, and that backwards is FR, and it's Friday. So there's a lot of free freedom information in the word frog. In the word frog, we have FR, and we be connecting the word FR to frost, fridge, frank, frankincense, and then we have the word OG, which is the OG. So a frog for real, FR. I like to say for real because it identifies with my divine masculine with those letters. And then we have OG. So the frog is really the OG if you really think about it. And you know, um, frogs are good. So I want to talk about. I want to continue to talk about the colors red and green. So we have the god Ptah and Kemet in Egyptian history, and he was bluish green. So and then we have Horus, who they have red discs on their heads. A lot of the Egyptian gods. So those are real entities. And when I went to the Ethiogenetic conference in Detroit years ago with Baba Kalende, who is an ancestor, um, I believe he was set up by his own people to be set up by people that are trying to conquer and divide us and deceive us. Because when I went to the conference, there was some shady stuff going on. Remember I talked about the color lavender? There was this woman named Lavender there that that told him that somebody stole money off of her, but nobody stole money off of her. She was just trying to get attention and do witchcraft because I've been to rent parties. I've been to a rent party for someone and nobody even stole their money. They lied and said someone. I ain't trying to judge them. I ain't the person to judge because if they got a lie to get their rent money, who am I to be like, oh, they lying? That ain't my place. But that's what I did because I found out that they tried to say that I stole the money. But moving on, they had these lavender spells that they're doing, and you know, it's really peculiar because in the word Ave Maria, in the song Ave Maria, they talk about Saint Benedict, and they're singing a song about Christ. And we have the word, if you look at the words in Latin, in Italian, you're able to decode things. Sometimes I'm able to look at videos and just look at the language in Spanish and start coding things what they really mean. So those are the vulgar languages, French, Spanish, and English. And English is a combination of all of them, including Latin. A lot of children spoke Pig Latin, and that's another way that you can code things. And in the word code, we have the word see ode, and an ode is a type of poem. And there's the codex. Code is connected to the Nagas and the snake gods. I know this because when I was in when I was in a psychiatric hospital, there was a man named Cody, and he was dressed up like a snake, and they had chairs around him like he was a cage, and I guess they were like trying to worship him as like some evil entity. It was really strange. Um, so it's important that we take in that we keep in mind what we're doing. I want to talk about some things that I think is going to help me, that might help others. And it's like, take everything with a grain of salt, because you can't let these people psych you out. You can't fear them. You can't let them get under your skin, because when they get under your skin, they're trying to really pay, um, have space up in your mind rent free, and are really trying to occupy your space so they can invade you, so they could try to overtake you, so you could jump on their ship instead of being on your ship. And then you don't want to walk the plank. They had our ancestors in that position as slaves, and then they have a plank on ships that people walk under a mutiny mood. So it's important that you stand up for your rights, like Bob Marley said, and you stand your ground, and you don't fear, because you know that the Most High and your ancestors are with you. They're all with you. All of your ancestors are connected with you. And what I've been doing is I've been taking notes about the observations that I've been experiencing in the past and in the present, and I'm able to see what they're trying to do in the future, the spells that they're trying to do in the future. They are attempting to do things in the month of August and September. And I can tell that because I am 0.2 degrees in the month of June, which is the 6th month. And like I said, my grandmother was born on the 26th, and so was my lover. And so I know the type of things that they're trying to utilize my body for. And I know by the time September comes, I'll be August comes, I'll be, I believe, 0.5 degrees. So they're trying to use my energy. 5 is connected to the sign of Leo. They're trying to use my energy to do witchcraft. So it's important for us to stay in higher vibrations, for us to communicate properly to each other, for us to respect each other, because we can't be separated. We cannot be divided. There's vitamin C, there's vitamin D. Don't let them take the C and the orange and the D that comes from the sun and try to conquer and divide us and put a wedge in between it. Let's be higher beings. Let's be the best that we can be, because it's very important. Um, Before I take a walk to get some exercise, I want to continue to talk about some thoughts that I was having. Um, what I realized is that people are trying to do massacre spells when celebrating these holidays. It's a mass, and mass backwards is Sam. SAM is mass backwards. MAS. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to put masks on our face during COVID-19. Okay, they said they call it the Rona for a reason. We know that the word Rona is in the word corona. And we know in the word corona, we have the word corn, which connects to the coronation of a queen or a king. So there's a lot of, witchcraft with that. The coronavirus started on 2 days before my birthday, March 15th. I've talked about the March of Owls and what they try to do, and how my uncle and cousin is born on March 15th. And I was in Chicago at the time on a train with nothing but Asian people. So that's how you know it's fake. That's how you know it's man-made, because why on the first day of the coronavirus, I'm in Chicago with Chicago. Chai, go. Chai. We know who Chai is. It's Christ. Like my father, Chiaka. Like my uncle and lover, Charles. Cha. So they had me on a bus going back to Pittsburgh, on a bus with nothing but Chinese people, Asian people, on the first day that they say coronavirus is out, to mess with me. In the word Rona, we have Ron. Okay, then I'm from the Iron City. The first person I was claimed by had Ron in his name. Then we have neurons. Okay, so that's important. And you know, back to the Flintstones. I lived on Peebles Avenue, which is the word Pebbles. And I was living there. The landlord's name was Cashy, who's a Jewish jeweler who had a jewelry store downtown. Now his jewelry shop is called Ron's Jeweler. That's interesting. Okay. And I years later, after I moved out of that place, I got hit by a car right on the intersection of Penn and Peebles by the company CEA with a 12-passenger van. I told you I'm a Pisces, that's the 12th house. And so it was a ritual. My mom was working at CEA. Okay, I was working at Grow Pittsburgh, and I got hit by a car. And when I woke up, there was a Jewish lawyer in front of me asking me to sign papers. I never got anything from the settlement because I disagreed with the amount. But I'm not too concerned about it because, all money ain't good money. I ain't really worried about it. They say my grandma always called me Susie Wong from Hong Kong. So there's some things about suing, and in the sue backwards is us in U.S. So I get blessed from the Most High. I get blessed from my higher self, even though blessed means be less, BLESS, which has my name in it, essence. I'm not caught up because I have these gifts that I'm going to share. Um, I'm focusing on my music. I'm like I said, I'm about to work on a grant, green, red, and we have you know um, which is an opportunity, which is an opposition. So I'm going to try to apply to these grants in the best way I can so it doesn't hurt me in the past or present. Because when people are trying to fund you, they're really trying to put you through a funeral. And that's not fun at all. So, anything, other things that I want to mention is how we don't need to um, amplify these massacres. In the word massacre, we have mass and then we have acre. They're trying to have a massacre so they can take our land or acres. And in the word acre, we have the word God in it because it's the AC and then it's the E and then it's the or E, which is re in it. So, yeah, they have interesting spells with, air conditioners, AC with most High, Osar, and with fans. So I wrote a song called it's called It's Hades, and I got it from the ancestors, and it's basically talking about how we need to utilize the fresh air. Now I'm being a hypocrite, and there's penalties for being a hypocrite when you're a goddess like me, because when you're a hypocrite, they try to turn you into a hippopotamus, and a hippopotamus is connected to a rhino, and a rhino is connected to my love because it's rhine, and they try to use rhinestones against me. And we remember the fashion brand Echo that had a rhino on it as a logo. And Echo, the last time I seen Echo, I was at Gabriel Brothers, and my brother is Gabriel Brothers, and Gabriel is an angel, is an archangel. So it's important for me not to be a hypocrite because right now I am utilizing, and like I said, I lived on the street Rhine, and I realized that they were trying to get to me and my lover because his name is similar to Ryan. And I had an episode because I seen this cat that was on a wall where they had a mother. They told a mother to burn her house down and kill her own baby. Okay, and I just snapped, and I felt like I had to get a felony because I'm a feline who's connected to my knees. But the cops moved when I tried to hit them, and they just took me to Western Site instead. And then they put me in a room where it was very hot. They were trying to kill me. Okay, I end up punching a security guard who was a hater that's connected to these haters that think they can replace me and and try to take my man and all that, but they can't take my man. They can't replace me, but they try to. And I don't think it's funny, but it's just I'm only laughing because it's kind of sad. Like people smile when they're sad, but it's not funny because it's like, how could you try to kidnap me? Like people think that they can steal your man so they can kidnap your child and then have a child that's going to join the gang. but my children ain't going to join the gang. And I really honestly think that I'm the only, like, I know I'm not the only person in the world that's not in a gang, because there's indigenous countries and villages, they don't even have phones and technologies like that. So I know they're not in a gang. But as far as the people I know, I really truly believe I'm the only person that's not in a gang, because I'm trying to get out of it. I don't want to say I was born in it, because I wasn't. It's just something that's in this culture, because of the founding of it. We know the founding fathers have their statues on Route Rushmore, and and so they're trying to rush me and my man, because we're connected to Rush, and we're really the founding fathers. And so I don't like to say don't rush or whatever, because I know they're trying to rush us. And it's very important that we know where we're at, what street we're living at. I'm on Monticello. Mon is in my grandfather's name, Raymond, and Cello is in my grandmother's name, Carol. So we need to really take an observation of where we're living at, because it's important, and where we're living at is connected to where we've been. You know, they have Abraham Lincoln, that's AL, that's Allah. That's law, that's connected to my love. And so we need to, and he's on the penny, the copper colored man president that's on the penny. So and I told you about Penny, that's Pennsylvania, New York, and that's what me and my divine masculine is connected to. So, and we know what I learned from my twin flame is that Russia is connected to the beer. And they tried to steal my man's beer head at the library, and and try to make it seem like it was my loss, but they stole it, because they hate on us and they don't want to us to have music, and they stole my music as well right out my house and my fashion designs. So we need to recognize who really are the founding fathers. We know that there were Moors. What's Moor backwards? Room. What's the room? A womb. We know it was the Moors that taught the settlers and the Puritans about America. And so what I learned from understanding with James Bowmore um, is that King James was really an African, a so-called African, and he came over and did all of those things. So what you'll learn is a lot of the so-called people who were ruling Europe, they were really dark people. They were really dark-skinned people. They were really brown, and they were trying to cultivate people from all over the world, Nethaneros that integrated with us. If you look at old pictures of Cambodians, you'll see that they're dark skinned, but now through imperialism, they are lighter. And a lot of spiritual teachers have been saying that slavery was supposed to happen for a reason. But if Ethiopia and Haiti was able to stay uncolonized and hold onto their independence, was it really meant to happen? I don't agree. Okay, I don't agree about slavery. They try to use the African diaspora to come against AD, Aaliyah Dana, and my present love, whose initials are AD, and I'm not with that. So I don't concur to the transatlantic slave trade, and so it's transatlantic slave. What's that? That's TAS. That's TAS, like the Tasmanian devil. What's that backwards? That's Saturn. So if they want to keep Saturn down and try to put it in slavery, and Saturnalia, if you study the word Saturnalia, it's when the Romans were pretending to be the gods and trying to make it seem, and the kings and the queens, and they were doing like up and down seesaw spells. And now they're trying to keep Saturn low. That's why they have satellites. And we know Saturn is the record keeper. It has the records. It has rings around it. It has this. So, the transatlantic slave was the trade, a TR. Was the raid. A raid is when someone is trying to come and and raid, like the spray for cockroaches. So I decided that I wasn't going to kill the bugs at my old place, because bugs have spiritual meanings and they try to tell us something. And in the word raid, we have the word raw, ID. So why are you about to use raid? And a cockroach is a what? CR or C. we know what that connected to. That's connected to the word Crayola and crazy. We don't want to hurt that. So I realized that the mouse was trying to talk to me. The mouse wasn't only trying to talk to Michael Jackson. The mouse was also trying to talk to me. The what I realized is the property owner in the building. I'm the real property owner. Okay, it's my property. Okay, but he is this whatever property owner, because what I realized where I was living at was actually Noah's Ark. And that's why it was in the shape that it was. Where it's at is on Native American land. And what I realized was I was living in the Garden of Eden right where I was, and it was always meant to be. Um, I lived on 2018 Tustin Street. We know Tuss is connected to King Tut, Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, Saturn Return, uh, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tucson, Tuesday, which is Mars Day, Tutu. So, and other things. So, I realized by looking at the stars and looking at the shape and looking at the place where I was that I was right where I was supposed to be. And if you realize, if you look at your home and you look at the architect of it and the design, you'll realize that hundreds of years or years before you even moved in, it was built just for you. It was built to put you in there and to put you in a box and to put you in a lab and do an experiment. So study people like Dr. Layla Africa, who has different ways of how to do feng shui in your house and align it properly for you for your best interests. Um, the last place I was living at with my sister, they had a hole in the wall. They had a Russian man come and fix it, and they had a carbon monoxide detector over it. Carbon monoxide detectors are channeling spirits. They pick up gas, and in gas we have spirits and ancestors in them. So when they're beeping, it's different ancestors that are in the room. Now where I'm living at, where my bed is, there is a patched hole in the wall, and still where I put my bed is, I'm underneath a carbon monoxide detector in a different home, in my mother's home. So you'll realize the things that they try to do to you and everything. Um, I truly believe that, you know, we hear things on YouTube that they're trying to recolonize Africa. We heard years ago around the coronavirus that they were trying to start 400 years of slavery over again. Um, we have we've read the Willie Lynch letter. They're trying to use our own sounds and our own dialects to come against us. Um, and the only way we can stop that is by coming together. And when we send our children and nieces and nephews off to the school, we need to pray over them and protect them, because the curriculum and some of the teachers have um, have handlers that might not be in their best interest, even though there are a lot of teachers that care and love these students and want to protect them. It's not them, it's just the system that we're in. That's why they had the Reform Act with the Native Americans, where they took them off their land and their reservations and took them to school. And when they went back home, they weren't no good to do anything for their culture. And they really just wanted to brainwash them and educate them, school, so they can get to their skull, so they can steal our brain, so they can try to brand us. That's why branding is connected to the brain. So if you think about the word Reform Act, you have RA, and that's raw. And I told you who we're connected to when it comes to raw, and how that's connected to my mother, my lover, my brother that has RA and AR in her name. So I'm able to look at my environment and find out who I am in the past. And what I'm asking everyone to do is to look at their past and some of the things that they've experienced in their life, and try to um, do your research on history, because your history is your heritage, and we are a part of his and hers. That's where we come from. We come from his and hers. So it's very important you do your history, you do your heritage, so you can find your footprints in the sand, so you can realize who you are in the past, present, and future, because it's all simultaneously. And I want to heal all the past essences, all the ones that I was in the past life. That's why I'm having this podcast called The Evil of Life, because I acknowledge that when I am live, that because I know better, I should do better. And even though I know better, I'm not doing better, because I'm put in a position to document my experiences because I feel like when I talk to my friends and family, all they do is put up a front. That's another F or word, front and frisk. And what I realized is the food is chipped. I ate some fish that has on the back of it, it has my mom's birthday. I was in jail and I looked at the condiments. It had my it had my lovers' names on it. They had them on it, peanut butter and jelly. You know what peanut butter and jelly time is. You know what I'm saying? So they have spells with the nuts, with the peanuts, and that they have spells with the grapes, with the wine, with the nuts. They want to put it together. We all watch Ratatouille. He mixed it with the cheese. It was good. We know rat is R-A-T. Rats is R-A-T-S. What's that backwards? That's star. That's why the head of the Ninja Turtles was a rat. He was the wisest. The Ninja Turtles are sacred. The Native Americans speak about the turtles, about they speak about the first being came from a turtle. So if you look at that, that was really interesting. And what I realized is um, they're trying to use time against us. They're don't let don't let Father Time and Mother Nature be abused. Um, Looking at the time, checking on the time and stuff like that. Even though I do it, we need to be more aware and conscious of what we're doing. Um, so what I'm going to say before I leave is that I'm I have uh I have a sense of belonging to the people who are here on the live, whether they was told to tune in or not. And even though we might not be able to communicate in person, for the people who are in different countries or cities, we have globalization. We are closer than ever before. We have social media, Sun Moon, Solomon Minikat, Sheba Makita. We are here together. We have SM. We have Essence Muhammad. We are here and we can tell our stories. We don't have to forget our inner child. We can create art. We can make sense. We can make music. We can make love. We can, you know, create and be hospitable. They are trying to turn our creations into cremations. They're trying to turn our hospitality into hospice. But they're not going to do these cradle to grave CR spells on us. We are going to be better than that. We're going to be stronger than that. We're not going to be bitter. We're going to be better. And we're going to come together to build and make a better future for the children of the Most High and the children of God. We are all children of God. We are all children of the Most High. Um, so get in a position with other people to where you can be sovereign so these children don't have to enter the gang and start doing the same things y'all do. Like, we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? We need something better because we're living in a time today where, our ancestors didn't have easy, everything's relative, that's what they say, but our ancestors didn't have all this, technology. They were using a lot of analog technology. But if you really think about analog, digital, there go again, AD, DA, if you really think about it, some of these technologies that allow us to create things faster than ever are actually more harmful because they're trying to entrap our spirits. So it's important that we be aware of the 42 laws of Mod. I have dealt with physical abuse for 24 years. Um, we know that They have they have 24 hours in a day. There's 24/7 spells going on. 24, that's TF, 7, that's S, that's SFT, that's SV. That's 6 feet apart. So we need to be mindful of what's going on, and we need to um, do the best that we can to every day to have a great day and not get down. I know it can be scary sometimes. In the word scare, we have the word care. So if you're scared, that means you care. That means you have love in your heart. That means you're concerned about the people that you love and you want to protect them. It's not a problem being scared. It's a human feeling, and it means that you fear the Most High and that you want to do the best thing for yourself and for your family. So with that, I'm going to send positive negative war and peace vibrations. Um, and I'm going to send everyone off with wellness. We're not off, we're on. They can't upset us, so we're not going to be set up. And I'm going to say peace and love. Pals. Evil is life. Essence.